This girl looks completely innocent on the outside, but when she loses control, her power can shake the entire world. Her abilities are so dangerous that in anger, she could even blast a massive hole into the moon itself. She lives in a strange family where 7 other children grow up beside her, and every one of them possesses a different supernatural power. Many years earlier, a mysterious event shocked the entire world. Out of nowhere, several women suddenly gave birth to children, even though they had never been pregnant before. After hearing this unbelievable news, a rich and mysterious man named Reginald Hargreaves began searching for those children. He paid huge amounts of money to adopt 7 of them and brought them into his enormous mansion. Instead of giving them real names, he assigned them numbers, from number 1 all the way to number 7. From childhood, he pushed them through brutal training so they could become superheroes and one day save the world. A few years later, during a dangerous bank robbery, the 7 children revealed themselves to the world for the very first time. Number 1 possessed monstrous super strength. With a single punch, he slammed a robber straight into the ground without any effort. Number 2 had deadly accuracy so precise that he could even control the path of a knife after throwing it into the air. Before enemies could even react, his blade would already strike them directly. Number 3 had the terrifying ability to control people's minds. With only her voice, she could force anyone to obey whatever she wanted them to do. Number 5 was completely different from the others. He could travel through both time and space. 1 second he would disappear, and the very next moment he would appear right behind his enemies. Number 6 carried an even darker power inside him. He could summon terrifying monsters from another world out of his own body, and those creatures destroyed enemies within seconds. But number 4 was unlike everyone else. He had the ability to see ghosts and speak with the dead. Yet, ever since childhood, he had always been terrified of spirits. Because of that, nobody in the family ever took him seriously. To make him stronger, he was often locked inside dark grave-like places for hours. And finally, there was number 7, the one everyone believed was completely useless. Because unlike the others, she showed no signs of having any superpower at all. That was why her siblings constantly treated her like she didn't belong in the family. Slowly, this strange family eventually became famous as the Umbrella Academy, a superhero team that protected innocent people by fighting dangerous criminals. One day, while the entire family was sitting together for dinner, number 5 suddenly announced that he wanted to test time travel himself. But their father, Reginald Hargreaves, immediately stopped him. He warned that time travel was extremely dangerous. Even the smallest mistake could trap a person somewhere in time forever with no way back. But number 5 was incredibly stubborn. He refused to listen to anyone. He walked outside onto the street and activated his power. In the very next moment, he jumped far into the future, first into the heat of summer, and then directly into a freezing winter wasteland. But during his 3rd attempt at time travel, everything went horribly wrong. Number 5 lost control over his powers and accidentally jumped several years into the future. When he opened his eyes, the entire world around him was completely destroyed. Everywhere he looked, there was only devastation, broken buildings, and a terrifying silence that felt like death itself. It looked as if the entire human race had been wiped out forever. At that moment, number 5 realized that some catastrophic disaster was destined to happen in the future, and somehow he had failed to stop it. Terrified and desperate, he tried to return back home. Again and again, he attempted time travel, but every single attempt failed. Now he was trapped completely alone inside that ruined future. Time passed rapidly after that. Years went by, and number 5 slowly lost all human connection. To stop himself from going insane, he began treating a mannequin doll like his companion and spent his days talking to it. Then one day, a mysterious woman suddenly appeared in front of him. She introduced herself as a member of an organization called the Temps Commission. This secret organization existed to protect time itself and prevent anyone from changing the timeline. That woman had already witnessed number 5's incredible time travel abilities. Because of that, she offered him a place inside the organization. For number 5, this was the last chance to escape that destroyed future, so he immediately accepted the offer. After joining them, number 5 became one of the Temps Commission's deadliest agents. For many years, he worked like a professional assassin. His mission was to eliminate anyone who tried to interfere with the natural flow of time. Meanwhile, many years had also passed in the real timeline, and the Umbrella Academy was no longer the same family it once used to be. Number 6 had lost his life during a dangerous mission. After his death, the entire family slowly fell apart and everyone went their separate ways. Number 7 had now become a violin player trying to build a normal life. Number 1 had been sent to the moon by their father Reginald Hargreaves for a special mission. Number 2 had turned into a lone vigilante who fought criminals across the city by himself. Number 3 had become a huge celebrity because of her voice and public fame. But number 4's life had become the most tragic of all. Ever since childhood, his ability to see ghosts had slowly destroyed him from the inside. After growing older, he started relying on alcohol and drugs just to escape from the pain haunting his mind. One day, all the siblings suddenly received the shocking news that their adoptive father, Reginald Hargreaves, had died. As soon as they heard about his death, everyone returned to their old mansion after many long years apart. For the first time in ages, the entire family gathered under one roof again, but the atmosphere felt incredibly strange. None of them truly looked sad about what had happened. Deep inside, everyone was suspicious about Reginald's death. Suddenly, loud thunder began roaring across the sky outside. The entire sky started shaking, and a dangerous energy vortex appeared between the dark clouds. In the very next moment, Number 5 returned through that vortex. The most shocking part was that despite being missing for so many years, he still looked exactly like a child. Not even a single day seemed to have passed on his face. The moment he entered the house, he warned everyone that the world was going to end in only 8 days. Hearing this left the entire family completely stunned. A memorial was held in memory of Reginald Hargreaves, but even there, the tension between the siblings refused to disappear. In front of everyone, Number 2 angrily declared that Reginald had never truly treated them like his children. Since childhood, they had only been used like training machines. He never gave them love. He never even gave them proper names. Instead, they were called nothing more than Number 1 through Number 7. Number 1 became furious after hearing those words and immediately started fighting with Number 2. Within seconds, the argument turned into a violent brawl between the two brothers. Watching all of this chaos, Number 5 quietly slipped away from the memorial. After spending years surviving inside a destroyed future, he now wanted to eat a normal meal for the very first time, because in that ruined future, he had survived only by eating insects and drinking dirty water. But just as he sat down inside a restaurant to eat, several dangerous assassins suddenly arrived there. They had come specifically to kill Number 5. However, Number 5 had become far deadlier than before. Within moments, he eliminated every assassin without any struggle. In reality, he had abandoned a mission from the Temps Commission and escaped back home, which was why the organization now wanted him dead. After surviving the attack, Number 5 immediately went to Number 7's apartment. Sitting there, he explained everything he had witnessed in the destroyed future. He told her that he had found an old newspaper in the ruined world with a date printed on it. After calculating from that date, he realized only 8 days remained before the apocalypse would happen. But Number 7 refused to believe his story. She thought years of non-stop time travel had completely damaged Number 5's mind. Meanwhile, Number 5 continued investigating every clue he had collected. No matter what happened, he was determined to discover what exactly was going to destroy the entire world. In the destroyed future, Number 5 had discovered the dead bodies of all his siblings. Their corpses were buried beneath the ruins and broken debris, but the strangest thing was what Number 1 had been holding tightly in his hand. He was gripping a fake artificial eye even after death. Number 5 immediately realized that this eye had some connection to the coming apocalypse. That was why he decided to uncover the truth behind the artificial eye and stop the destruction of the world. But on the other side, the Temps Commission had now started seeing him as a massive threat. According to them, Number 5 had already disturbed the balance of the timeline. Because of this, the organization sent 2 deadly assassins to eliminate him permanently. Following the address written on the fake eye, Number 5 eventually arrived at a company that manufactured artificial body parts. He stayed hidden outside the building, waiting for the perfect chance to sneak in and uncover the truth. Meanwhile, those same 2 assassins reached his house while searching for him. At that exact moment, Number 2 happened to pass by the area. He instantly sensed that something was wrong, so without hesitation, he threw his knives directly at both attackers. But this time, the enemies were far from ordinary humans. The 2 assassins were incredibly fast and extremely dangerous. They easily blocked the attack without any trouble. Hearing the sounds of fighting, Number 1 and Number 3 also arrived there. Now 3 members of the Umbrella Academy joined forces and started battling the assassins together. Against the combined strength of the 3 siblings, the assassins could not hold their ground for long and were eventually forced to escape. But during the fight, a huge secret was accidentally revealed. Number 1's coat got torn apart, exposing part of his body underneath. That was when everyone realized his body was no longer completely human. The truth was that after all the others had left the Umbrella Academy, Number 1 continued going on missions alone with Reginald Hargreaves. During one dangerous mission, he was injured so badly that he nearly died. To save his life, Reginald injected a special creature's blood into his body. The treatment saved him from death, but slowly his body began changing into something no longer fully human. He started developing monstrous strength and animal-like features. This secret had always continued haunting him from the inside. Meanwhile, after failing their mission, the 2 assassins came up with a new plan. They kidnapped Number 4 because he was considered the weakest fighter among the siblings. Now they held Number 4 captive and began interrogating him about Number 5. But Number 4's condition had now completely fallen apart. For many years, he had remained trapped in alcohol and drugs. He had numbed himself so deeply from pain and fear that even torture torture no longer affected him much anymore. In fact, while the assassins were torturing him, instead of feeling pain, he strangely started enjoying it. Eventually, tempted by the promise of drugs, he revealed several places where Number 5 usually liked to go. On the other side, Number 5 was questioning employees inside the artificial eye company. He wanted to track down the owner of that eye so he could uncover the true cause behind the coming apocalypse. But the moment the assassins learned about his investigation, they headed straight toward the laboratory where the artificial eyes were manufactured. Without wasting even a second, they set the entire lab on fire. Within minutes, the whole building burned down into ashes. By the time Number 5 arrived there, it was already too late. His final clue had been completely destroyed. Meanwhile, at the hotel where Number 4 was being held captive, a female police officer was patrolling nearby. Suddenly, she heard strange noises coming from inside one of the rooms. Suspicious, she borrowed a keycard from the hotel staff and unlocked the door herself. Inside, she found Number 4 tied up and trapped. Using only his eyes, Number 4 secretly signaled that someone was hiding inside the bathroom. The officer immediately understood the warning and quickly untied him. The moment Number 4 got free, one of the assassins suddenly rushed out of the bathroom. The officer instantly opened fire, and chaos exploded throughout the room. Taking advantage of the confusion, Number 4 grabbed his clothes and escaped through the ventilation pipes. But at that exact moment, the second assassin appeared from behind and killed the female police officer on the spot. Now both assassins realized that Number 4 had escaped from them. But the biggest problem was that while escaping, he had accidentally taken one of their mysterious briefcases with him. Meanwhile, Number 4 casually sat inside a bus while trying to open the strange briefcase. He assumed there would be money or diamonds hidden inside it. But the moment he unlocked the briefcase, everything suddenly changed. In the very next second, he was transported far through time itself. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself standing in the middle of a battlefield in the year 1968. Bullets were flying everywhere, and soldiers were dying all around him. Before Number 4 could even understand what was happening, enemy forces suddenly attacked. The soldiers immediately dragged him into the middle of the war beside them. Now, without understanding anything at all, Number 4 found himself trapped inside a real battlefield, like an actual soldier fighting for survival. Meanwhile, after the assassins finally reached their house, Number 1 and Number 2 realized that Number 5 was the real target all along. Without wasting any time, both brothers immediately went out searching for him. After looking everywhere, they finally found Number 5 sitting inside a bar completely drunk. He was emotionally broken because his final clue had already been destroyed. After bringing him back home, Number 1 aggressively questioned him for answers. That was when Number 5 finally revealed the complete truth that only 4 days remained before the world would end. Meanwhile, Number 4 had also returned from the war timeline. In anger, he smashed the time travel briefcase into pieces. Hearing this instantly terrified Number 5, because with that briefcase, he could have traveled back into the past, gained more time, and possibly saved the world. But now that opportunity was completely gone. After connecting Number 4's story with all the remaining clues, Number 5 suddenly realized a shocking truth. After calculating everything carefully, he discovered that one specific man had to die in order to stop the apocalypse. That man's name was Harold Jenkins. Number 5 believed that if Harold died, the world could still be saved. But Number 1 immediately stopped him. He argued that killing an innocent man based only on suspicion would be completely wrong, because until now, nothing had fully proven that Harold was truly responsible for destroying the world. Eventually, the two brothers came up with a new plan together. They decided to use the time travel briefcase as bait, so the assassins from the Temps Commission would come directly to them. If Number 5 somehow managed to enter the organization itself, he could uncover the real reason behind the apocalypse and save the world without murdering an innocent person. But they had no idea that Number 2 and Number 4 would suddenly arrive there without knowing the plan. Both of them drove their car straight into the assassins without warning. At that exact moment, time itself suddenly froze. Everything around them completely stopped moving. Then a mysterious woman appeared there out of nowhere. She was the leader of the Temps Commission, the Handler. She told Number 5 that no matter how hard he tried, the apocalypse was destined to happen anyway. However, she offered him a dangerous deal. If Number 5 returned to work for the organization again, she promised that his siblings would survive even after the end of the world. Left with no other choice, Number 5 agreed to her offer, but before leaving, he secretly changed the direction of a bullet and saved Number 1's life. After that, he returned to the Temps Commission with the Handler, and time began moving normally once again. After returning to the organization, Number 5 continued working for them from the outside, but secretly he started uncovering all of their hidden secrets. Eventually, he finally discovered who was truly responsible for the apocalypse. After that, he cleverly sent fake orders to the two assassins, causing them to suspect each other until they eventually fought and killed one another. But then, the Handler suddenly arrived there and immediately realized that Number 5 had betrayed her. Knowing his secret was exposed, Number 5 rushed straight into the room where all the time travel briefcases were stored. Without hesitation, he destroyed almost every briefcase there, so the organization would not be able to chase him anymore. At the final moment, he grabbed one working briefcase and escaped back to his home. But this time, he had not returned empty-handed. He now carried the biggest clue behind the destruction of the world. The truth was that the entire apocalypse was connected to Number 7 herself. During childhood, while Number 7 was training with Reginald Hargreaves, she had once revealed her true power. The moment she closed her eyes, a terrifying burst of energy exploded from inside her and even shattered Reginald's glasses. Her abilities were so horrifying that even Reginald himself became afraid of her. He immediately stopped her training forever. But the problem never truly disappeared. Whenever Number 7 heard loud sounds or became emotional, her powers would spiral out of control. Eventually, Reginald Hargreaves started locking her inside a sealed room and forced her to take medicines every day so her emotions would remain suppressed. At the same time, he ordered Number 3 to use her voice control ability on her, so Number 7 would completely forget about her powers. Slowly, Number 7 truly forgot everything and started believing she was just an ordinary girl with no abilities at all. After growing up, she became a simple violin player, and her life remained peaceful for many years. But now, everything was about to change forever. One day, a man suddenly entered Number 7's quiet and lonely life, and his name was Harold Jenkins. Harold always appeared in front of her at the perfect moment. Whenever Number 7 felt sad or lonely, he would show up beside her to comfort and support her. Since childhood, Number 7 had never truly experienced love or affection from anyone. Because of that, she slowly started growing closer to Harold. Within a short time, the two eventually fell in love and entered into a relationship together. But Number 7 had absolutely no idea that everything happening between them was already part of Harold's carefully planned scheme. In reality, Harold's childhood had been filled with pain and suffering. His mother died when he was very young, and his abusive father constantly beat him for years. Ever since childhood, he had dreamed of becoming a hero, just like the children of the Umbrella Academy. One day, filled with hope, he went to their mansion believing he might also become part of the family. But Reginald Hargreaves mocked him, humiliated him, and cruelly threw him out of the house. When Harold returned home afterward, his father once again started beating him violently. At that moment, all the anger buried inside him for years finally exploded. In pure rage, he grabbed a hammer and attacked his father directly in the head. After only a few brutal strikes, his father died on the spot. Because of this crime, Harold was sentenced to 12 years in prison. By the time he was finally released, Reginald Hargreaves had already died, but the hatred burning inside Harold was still alive. Now he wanted revenge against the Umbrella Academy. He believed that if he had not been rejected that day, his entire life would never have been destroyed. While preparing his revenge plan, he discovered one of Reginald's old journals. After reading the diary carefully, he learned every secret about all 7 members of the Umbrella Academy. Now his real target became completely clear to him, Number 7. Slowly, Harold started getting closer to Number 7 and cleverly earned her trust little by little. Within a short time, Number 7 became completely obsessed with his love. But during all this, Number 3 slowly began suspecting Harold. After investigating him, she realized that something about him was deeply wrong. She warned Number 7 to stay away from Harold immediately. But blinded by love, Number 7 refused to listen to a single word she said. Instead, she started believing that Number 3 was simply jealous of her because she herself was struggling alone while raising her daughter, and Number 7 had finally found true love. Now, every meeting between the two sisters slowly turned into an argument and a fight. Meanwhile, Harold secretly continued manipulating Number 7 and pushing her to think about the hidden powers buried deep inside her. One day, while Number 7 and Harold Jenkins were spending time together outside, a group of thugs suddenly attacked Harold without warning. Terrified, Number 7 begged them to stop, but nobody listened to her cries. Watching the man she loved getting hurt awakened a violent rage deep inside her. She screamed loudly, and in the very next moment, a terrifying wave of energy burst from her voice and blasted all the attackers several meters away. Now it became completely clear that Number 7 truly possessed horrifying superpowers. This was the real reason why Reginald Hargreaves had spent years suppressing her abilities. But during the attack, Harold was badly injured. He was rushed to the hospital immediately, and one of his eyes was permanently destroyed. At that exact moment, Number 5 finally realized the horrifying truth. The same artificial eye he had found in the destroyed future actually belonged to Harold. After discovering the truth about her powers, Number 7 became completely terrified. She immediately went to her family searching for help and support. At first, Number 1 warmly hugged her. For the first time in many years, Number 7 finally felt that maybe her family truly cared about her after all. But only seconds later, she realized that Number 1 was holding her far too tightly. She could barely breathe anymore. Number 7 begged him to let go, but number 1 kept repeating that he was only doing this for her own good. Slowly, number 7 lost consciousness completely. When she opened her eyes again, she found herself trapped once more inside a dark, locked room, because now the family believed she had become far too dangerous. Outside the room, number 3 and number 4 were trying to free her. They kept telling number 1 that locking number 7 away was completely wrong, but number 1 refused to change his decision no matter what they said. Locked inside the darkness, number 7 was emotionally shattered. During childhood, she had been imprisoned exactly the same way before, and now history was repeating itself once again. Slowly, her mind began collapsing, and strange hallucinations started appearing around her. She saw her younger childhood self standing before her, whispering, "Our siblings are just like Dad. They always wanted to control us. They never truly loved us. They always kept us alone." Hearing those words released every bit of pain and anger buried inside number 7 for years. Now she finally decided that she would never suppress herself again. After all, she possessed the greatest power of them all, so why should she be the one locked away? In the very next moment, her power exploded violently. With a massive blast, the heavy iron door shattered into pieces instantly. Number 7 had now completely lost her mental balance. The entire Umbrella Academy started trembling before her terrifying strength. Realizing the situation was getting worse, number 1 immediately evacuated everyone from the house. At this point, almost all humanity inside number 7 had disappeared. Everywhere she went, destruction followed behind her. Now only hatred remained inside her heart. At that moment, the family's loyal butler Pogo came forward to stop her. At first, number 7 appeared slightly calm toward him, but when she learned that even Pogo had spent years helping hide her powers from her, her rage exploded once again. Using her powers, she slammed Pogo violently into a wall and killed him instantly. Number 7 was now completely out of control. She had finally gained full command over her terrifying abilities. With only a single burst of power, she turned the entire Umbrella Academy mansion into ruins. Even their robotic mother became buried beneath the debris. Luckily, number 1 had already managed to get everyone outside in time. At that moment, number 5 finally understood the complete truth. Harold had only been a pawn. The real danger destined to destroy the world was number 7 herself. After awakening her powers, she had transformed into someone entirely different. Now only one thing mattered inside her mind: completing her violin performance at any cost. To stop her, all the siblings eventually arrived at her concert hall. But number 3 still believed there was hope that she could calm her sister through love and understanding. She asked everyone else to wait outside while she went alone to speak with number 7. At first, the two sisters seemed to be talking peacefully together. For a moment, it looked like maybe everything would finally be all right, but then suddenly, number 1 and number 5 entered the hall. Just then, number 1 and number 5 suddenly rushed onto the stage. The moment number 7 saw them, her anger exploded even further. She instantly dragged the bow across her violin strings, and the terrifying energy released from the sound blasted both of them high through the air. Now the entire situation had become completely uncontrollable. Filled with rage, number 7 started playing the violin even faster. With every note she created, deadly waves of energy burst outward. Terrified, the audience began running away from the concert hall, but number 7 refused to stop. In the middle of all this chaos, another danger suddenly arrived. The remaining assassins from the Temps Commission had also reached the concert. At that moment, number 4 used his powers to summon number 6's spirit once again. In the very next second, terrifying monster-like tentacles burst out from number 6's ghost and slaughtered every assassin one by one. Now only one threat remained alive: number 7 herself. For the first time, all the siblings were finally standing together, so number 1 declared that this was their only chance to stop her. But before anyone could attack, number 7 used her power to trap all of them helplessly in the air. None of them could even move a single inch. However, number 3 had already prepared herself beforehand. She was secretly hiding behind the stage and waiting for the perfect moment. Quietly, she pulled out her gun and aimed directly at number 7 from behind. But because she still loved her sister, she slightly changed the bullet's target at the last second. The moment she fired, number 7 lost concentration, and her uncontrolled power blasted straight upward into the sky. The horrifying energy tore through the clouds and crashed directly into the moon itself. All the siblings immediately rushed toward number 7 afterward. She was still alive. For a few brief moments, everyone believed they had finally saved the world. But then suddenly, a gigantic meteor-like object appeared, falling rapidly from the sky toward Earth. Now it was already too late. The moon had shattered apart, and its broken pieces were crashing directly toward the planet. In the very next moment, the entire world erupted into horrifying explosions. Fire, destruction, and death spread everywhere across the Earth. This was the real apocalypse. At that moment, number 5 remembered the words of the handler: "What is meant to happen will always happen." In the final seconds before destruction, number 5 activated his time travel power and disappeared into time together with all his siblings. Nobody knew whether this time they would get another chance to save the world or not. But one thing had become completely clear. This family was far more dangerous and powerful than anyone had ever imagined. Number 1 could stop missiles using his monstrous strength alone. Number 7 could catch cannon shells with her bare hands. Number 4 could summon an entire army of dead soldiers from the spirit world. Even after death, Number 6 could still kill enemies as a ghost. Number 3 could crush people's heads just by speaking a few words. And Number 2 fought so fast that even bullets could barely touch him. But immediately after time traveling, all the siblings found themselves trapped inside a dangerous battlefield. Number 5 was about to help everyone when suddenly someone grabbed him from behind. It was Hazel. Hazel was the same assassin who had once been sent to kill Number 5. Without saying anything, he pointed toward the distance. In the very next second, a nuclear attack exploded there, and the world once again turned into an apocalypse. Hazel saved Number 5 just in time and used his briefcase to take him 10 days back into the past. That was when he finally revealed the truth. In reality, before Number 7 destroyed the world in the previous timeline, Hazel had escaped into another timeline together with his wife through time travel. They peacefully spent 20 years together there. But because of that same time travel, history itself changed completely. Now a war had begun between Russia and America that was never supposed to happen. This time, the apocalypse had arrived 60 years earlier than before, and once again the responsibility of saving the world fell entirely onto Number 5. During the time jump, all the siblings became scattered across different years. Number 4 arrived first in the year 1960. Number 6's spirit was still traveling beside him. 1 year later, Number 3 arrived there in 1962. Then Number 1 appeared and crashed directly into a pile of garbage. A year later, Number 2 finally arrived. The moment he appeared, he heard someone screaming for help and immediately started chasing a thief through the streets. At that same time, President John F. Kennedy was giving a speech on television. Suddenly, Number 2 remembered the future and started shouting that the president was about to be assassinated. But everyone believed he was insane and locked him inside a mental hospital. Meanwhile, Number 7 had also arrived in this new timeline. Because she had overused her powers in the previous timeline, she had completely lost her memory. Now she could not even remember her own name. A kind family eventually gave her a place to stay in their home. After some time, Number 5 also arrived in this timeline. But the moment he appeared, he once again witnessed the end of the world. Luckily, Hazel saved him again and revealed that the apocalypse was only 10 days away. Just then, assassins from the Temps Commission suddenly appeared there. Because Hazel had betrayed the organization and helped Number 5 escape, they immediately shot him dead. Now, Number 5 was completely alone again. He had no real plan left to save the world, so he decided to first search for all his siblings. But in this new timeline, every one of them was living a completely different life. Number 1 was now using his strength in illegal underground boxing matches. Every day he fought dangerous opponents, earned money, and wasted it all on alcohol. Number 5 went directly to a bar to convince him and asked for his help in saving the world. But Number 1 no longer cared about anything anymore. The truth was that he had always been secretly in love with Number 3. But in this timeline, Number 3 was happily married to someone else and living a peaceful life. Because of that, Number 1 had completely given up hope of saving the world. Number 5 kept trying to convince him, but he refused to listen. Then suddenly, Number 5 reached into his pocket and found an old cassette tape inside. This was the same tape that Hazel had secretly slipped into his pocket before dying. Meanwhile, Number 2 had already escaped from the mental hospital along with his friend. Number 5 immediately went looking for him so they could create a plan together to stop the apocalypse. But after taking heavy psychiatric medicines for such a long time, Number 2's mind was no longer as sharp as before. Now he only wanted to enjoy his new freedom. That was when Number 5 threatened him by saying that if he refused to help, he would send him straight back to the mental hospital. Left with no choice, Number 2 finally agreed. After that, both of them started listening carefully to the cassette tape left behind by Hazel. They wanted to discover who had actually started the war between Russia and America. But while listening to the tape, Number 5 suddenly noticed something extremely shocking. Meanwhile, Number 1 had gone to a bar when he unexpectedly spotted Number 7 there. However, he did not approach her immediately. The next day, Number 7 was working at the farm owned by the family that had taken her in after she lost her memory. At that moment, Number 1 suddenly arrived there. At first, Number 1 apologized to her calmly, but behind his back, he was secretly preparing his gun at the same time. Deep down, he still believed that Number 7 was only pretending to have memory loss. But the truth was that Number 7 had genuinely forgotten everything. For many months, she had been desperately trying to discover her real identity. She put up posters, published newspaper advertisements, but nobody ever came looking for her. Now, for the very first time, she had finally met someone who actually knew knew her. That was why she excitedly started asking number 1 questions about herself. But number 1 still could not fully trust her words. Just as he was about to pull out his gun, the owner of the farm suddenly arrived there. She immediately sensed danger and pointed her shotgun directly at number 1. Forced by the situation, number 1 had no choice except to leave. Number 7 could not understand why someone had suddenly come there trying to kill her. Meanwhile, number 5 and number 2 continued searching records connected to the name Reginald Hargreaves. But there were simply too many people with the same name in the world, making it almost impossible to find the right person. Then suddenly, number 5 came up with a new idea. He suggested that instead of searching directly for Reginald, they should locate the company that later became the Umbrella Academy. And surprisingly, this plan actually worked. After some time, both of them finally reached the old company building. But after arriving there, they discovered that the entire place had been abandoned. Dust covered every corner of the building. It looked as if nobody had entered there for years. Suddenly, number 5 noticed something strange inside the room. Between old papers and broken objects, a completely new invitation card was lying there untouched. Suspicious, he quietly slipped the card into his pocket. During that same moment, they suddenly heard someone running nearby. Chasing after the noise, number 5 spotted a young version of Pogo. It was the same butler Pogo, but still in his younger and more animal-like form. Without hesitation, Pogo slapped number 5 hard across the face and escaped through the window immediately afterward. Meanwhile, number 2 was chasing another mysterious man through the building. Suddenly, someone attacked him from behind without warning. Despite number 2's incredible speed and fighting skills, the stranger was matching him blow for blow. Just as number 2 prepared to deliver the final attack, he finally saw his enemy's face and froze completely in shock. That man was none other than Reginald Hargreaves himself. Number 2 stopped in disbelief for a few seconds, and Reginald instantly took advantage of that moment to stab him with a knife. Number 2 collapsed onto the ground immediately afterward. Then Reginald calmly grabbed young Pogo by the hand and walked away from the building, as if nothing had even happened. Luckily, number 2's injury was not fatal, and he was still alive. Meanwhile, number 7 slowly started recovering fragments of her lost memories. One night, she suddenly left the farm alone and drove away without telling anyone. But during the journey, 3 deadly assassins from the Temps Commission surrounded her on the road. Their mission was clear: kill number 7 before her full powers could awaken completely. The moment she sensed danger, number 7 ran into a massive cornfield to hide. She kept running desperately while dodging bullets flying past her, but eventually the assassins surrounded her from every direction. Just as a bullet was about to hit her in the head, the power buried inside her suddenly awakened again. In the very next second, all 3 assassins collapsed unconscious onto the ground. Taking advantage of the opportunity, number 7 escaped from the field immediately. Meanwhile, number 5 had already sensed the dangerous ultrasonic waves released from her powers. He rushed there at once and safely brought number 7 out of the field. When morning arrived, number 7 looked back toward the farm and was left completely shocked. Because of her uncontrolled rage, a massive section of the entire field had been utterly destroyed. By now, number 5 had reunited with almost all of his siblings. Only number 3 was still missing. On the other side, number 3 had become part of the civil rights movement alongside her husband. During that period in America, black people faced terrible discrimination everywhere. Many restaurants openly displayed signs saying that black people were not allowed inside. Number 3 joined her friends in protesting at one such restaurant. She wanted black people to finally receive equal rights and respect, but the situation quickly became even worse. The police arrived there and started violently dragging the protesters outside by force. During all the chaos, number 3's husband was also captured, and the officers began beating him mercilessly. Watching this finally pushed number 3 beyond her limit. She used her powers and controlled the officers' minds with a single command. She simply said, "Leave him alone." In the very next moment, every police officer suddenly calmed down and walked away silently. But after witnessing this, her husband became terrified. He could not understand how any of that had happened. When he asked what exactly she had said to the police, number 3 avoided answering him directly. But by now, her husband had already realized that his wife was not a normal human being. Fear and suspicion slowly started growing inside his mind toward number 3. At that moment, number 4 arrived there and took number 3 away before the situation could get even worse. Meanwhile, number 1 stood inside a dark underground boxing ring. The fighter in front of him kept beating him brutally, but number 1 refused to fight back at all. The club owner continuously screamed at him to attack, but deep inside he was completely broken emotionally. He had just learned that number 3 was happily married to someone else. That painful truth was slowly destroying him from within. Now he had lost all interest in fighting or even living anymore. He only wanted to feel physical pain so he could forget the pain in his heart. Eventually, after losing the match, the furious club owner threw him out completely. Now number 1 had neither a home nor any purpose left in his life. That was why he decided to finally go to number 5. Meanwhile, number 5 and number 2 were investigating the mysterious invitation card together. They discovered that the card was connected to a powerful man named Harlan Cooper. He was linked to a secret organization called the 12 Elders, which had been created by scientists and military leaders together. Later, one of number 5's allies found an old photograph of that organization, but strangely, only 11 members were visible in the picture. That was when number 5 began suspecting that Reginald Hargreaves himself might actually be the hidden 12th member. To prove this truth, number 5 came up with another dangerous plan. He secretly sent number 2 and his girlfriend Lila Pitts undercover into the party connected to the organization, but Reginald quickly realized that number 5 was secretly following him. Luckily, number 5 managed to escape just in time. However, the moment he turned around, he saw one of the Temps Commission assassins standing directly behind him. Now he had no option left except running away. Number 5 instantly used his powers and teleported away from the scene, but because of non-stop time travel and constant teleportation, his body was slowly starting to break down completely. Meanwhile, number 2 finally arrived there and immediately rushed forward to help number 5, but before he could even reach him, another assassin suddenly attacked him from behind. Now the situation had become even worse. 2 deadly assassins together were brutally beating both number 5 and number 2. Number 5 had already exhausted himself completely from constantly using his powers. He barely had any strength left to continue fighting anymore. Just then, Lila Pitts suddenly arrived there. She saw that both brothers had already been badly injured. At that exact moment, a voice echoed inside her mind. No matter what happens, protect number 5 at all costs. Without wasting even a second, Lila jumped directly into the fight and attacked the assassins herself. Taking advantage of the distraction, number 5 grabbed one assassin and threw him straight out through the window. At that same moment, his eyes landed on Reginald Hargreaves, who was secretly preparing to escape from the party. Number 5 immediately started chasing after him. Now the fight had turned into one-on-one battles, and the moment number 2 got his opportunity, he finally revealed his true combat skills. Within only a few seconds, he defeated the assassin with ease. After that, he also ran outside, but by then, it was already too late. All they could see on the road were the distant taillights of Reginald's car disappearing into the darkness. Lila instantly suggested that they should follow him immediately, but at that moment, number 2 started becoming suspicious of her. He was supposed to be her boyfriend, so why during the fight had she only been worried about number 5? Smiling calmly, Lila replied that number 5 was still just a child, while number 2 was a grown man capable of protecting himself. Number 2 understood that she was only making excuses, but he had no answer to give her. After failing to find any clue about Reginald, number 2 and number 5 finally returned home. Number 1 had already been waiting for them there for a long time. The moment he heard that both of them had been searching for Reginald, an old memory suddenly came back to him. He remembered that when he first arrived in this timeline, he had also tried searching for his father, Reginald Hargreaves. Since Reginald had not adopted the children yet during that time, number 1 truly believed there was still a chance his father might finally accept him, but the reality turned out completely different. Reginald refused to recognize him and cruelly mocked him by calling him a gorilla. Those words left a deep wound inside number 1's heart forever. After being emotionally shattered, he eventually started fighting in illegal boxing matches just to survive somehow. Meanwhile, the real truth about Lila Pitts also slowly began coming out. She was not an ordinary girl at all. In reality, she was the adopted daughter of the handler, who had trained her since childhood to become a deadly assassin, and her true mission was simple: protect number 5 at any cost. Around the same time, 3 assassin brothers from the Temps Commission received a brand new mission. This time, their target was number 2 himself. While tracking clues, they eventually reached a dense forest. There, they discovered number 2's knife stuck deep inside a tree. One assassin carefully stepped forward to inspect it, but accidentally triggered a hidden bomb. In the very next second, a massive explosion tore through the forest, blowing the assassin into pieces instantly. Meanwhile, number 5 had started growing increasingly suspicious of Lila's behavior. Deep down, he felt that she was hiding something important from everyone. Because of that, he secretly began following her movements, and soon, his suspicions proved correct. A short time later, he discovered Lila secretly meeting the handler herself. Under normal circumstances, the handler would have wanted to kill number 5 immediately, but this time, she wanted him to work with her once again. Meanwhile, number 3 took her husband to an expensive restaurant where only white people were allowed inside. The moment they entered, the staff immediately told them to leave, but this time, number 3 was not going to stay silent. She carefully looked around the entire restaurant and then used her power. With just a single command, the waiter's mind fell completely under her control. In the very next moment, the same waiter respectfully served coffee to number 3 himself. Not only that, that, he even brought expensive suits for her husband to try on. When both of them finally left the restaurant, their hands were filled with bags of costly clothes, and they had not paid a single dollar for anything. After this success, number 3's confidence started growing rapidly. She even used her powers to buy expensive clothes for herself as well. Feeling happy, both of them returned to the same restaurant where they had once protested earlier, but the workers there still behaved exactly the same as before. This time, number 3 softly said, "I want black coffee," and instantly the waiter became a slave to her command. But number 3 did not stop there. She kept repeating the same order again and again. The waiter continued pouring burning hot coffee endlessly until the hot liquid started spilling directly onto his own hands. That was when her husband finally stepped in and stopped her. By now, he was completely certain that number 3 truly possessed supernatural powers. Earlier, he believed maybe his wife simply had some special connection with the police, but now the truth stood right in front of him. Eventually, number 3 revealed everything to him, that she had come from the future and possessed extraordinary abilities. But her husband still struggled to fully believe her story. That was why number 3 had no choice except showing her powers directly to him. After returning home, her husband became extremely excited. He wanted number 3 to use her abilities to help black people finally gain equal rights and justice, but number 3 refused to do that. She feared that if history changed too much, the future itself could be altered forever. While both of them were arguing about this, number 3 suddenly noticed a letter lying on the floor. When she opened it, she discovered an invitation from Reginald Hargreaves inside. In reality, Reginald had already realized that several strange people were constantly following him everywhere. That was why he invited all of them for a meeting. Slowly, every sibling arrived there one by one. For the first time in many years, the entire family was sitting together again. But Reginald looked completely disturbed and confused. He could not understand why these strange people were so obsessed with him. Suddenly, number 5 directly said, "We are your children, and we came from the future." He explained that in the year 1989, Reginald adopted all of them and created the Umbrella Academy in order to stop the apocalypse from destroying the world. Hearing this left Reginald completely shocked. He could not even imagine why he would ever adopt such bizarre children. That was when number 5 explained that every one of them possessed superpowers. Afterward, he started revealing everyone's abilities one by one. Number 1 possessed monstrous super strength. Number 4 could communicate with the spirits of dead people. Number 3 had the power to control minds. To prove it immediately, number 3 ordered number 2 to slap himself. And in the very next second, number 2 actually slapped himself across the face. When it was finally number 7's turn, everyone became slightly nervous. They feared she might accidentally destroy the entire building. But this time, number 7 was fully controlling her powers. She only shattered a plate of fruit and proved that she was no longer the same person as before. Just then, number 2 showed Reginald an old photograph where he appeared during the president's speech. He directly asked, "Were you involved in the president's assassination?" The moment he heard that question, Reginald became furious. Suddenly, the atmosphere inside the room turned extremely tense. That was when number 5 quickly pulled everyone back to the real issue. He explained that the world would end in just 5 days, and they all had to work together to stop it. But Reginald simply refused to believe any of the apocalypse stories. Meanwhile, the spirit of number 6 had been listening to everything silently. He also wanted to share his opinion. He tried entering number 4's body, but before he could succeed, number 4 suddenly collapsed unconscious onto the floor. Now Reginald had become completely frustrated. He started walking away from the meeting. At that moment, number 1 removed his shirt and angrily demanded to know what had been done to his body. But even this did not affect Reginald at all. He only agreed to speak privately with number 5 alone. Furious, all the other siblings walked out of the room. Now only number 5 and Reginald Hargreaves remained there together. Number 5 explained the entire story and admitted that he wanted to stop the apocalypse, but had no idea where he should even begin. That was when Reginald gave him an important piece of advice. Start with the small things. Don't try changing everything at once. Those words stayed inside number 5's mind deeply. Now he finally understood that if he could not save the entire world at once, then he needed to attack the real root of the problem directly. Sometime later, number 5 stormed into the meeting room of the Temps Commission, carrying an axe in his hand. The moment he entered, he began slaughtering the organization's top officials one by one. He teleported so rapidly during the attack that nobody could even understand where the next strike was coming from. Within only a few minutes, the entire room became filled with dead bodies. Now only the true leader of the commission remained alive, a bizarre creature that looked like a goldfish. It tried bribing number 5, but he ignored every offer completely. He attacked directly and killed the creature as well. Afterward, number 5 handed the goldfish over to the handler. In reality, number 5 had already made a secret deal with the handler earlier. If he eliminated the commission's top officials, then she would send his entire family back to their original timeline and erase the apocalypse completely. The deal sounded reasonable to number 5, so he accepted it. But the moment the handler gained power, 4. She instantly revealed her true nature. She handed number 5 only a single time travel briefcase and told him he had just 90 minutes left. Number 5 was completely shocked because all of his siblings were scattered across different places, but now there was no time left for arguments anymore. He immediately created a new plan. Number 1 would find number 3. Number 2 would bring back number 4 along with number 6's spirit, and number 5 himself would go after number 7. Everyone was supposed to gather in the same alley where they had first arrived in this timeline. Meanwhile, the handler fully took control over the Temps Commission and appointed her daughter Lila Pitts as the new security chief. But while thinking about creating a new team, only one person's name kept returning again and again inside Lila's mind: number 2. Meanwhile, number 2 had finally managed to find number 4, but he immediately realized that Ben Hargreaves was still inside number 4's body and was busy enjoying life to the fullest. Without wasting any time, number 2 ordered him to reach the meeting point within 1 hour. Number 6 agreed without any argument, but shortly afterward, number 2 stepped away for some personal work, and that was exactly when he got betrayed. Lila Pitts secretly mixed a strange substance into his drink. Within only a few seconds, number 2 collapsed unconscious and was captured by agents of the Temps Commission. Meanwhile, number 5 finally found number 7, but by now number 7 had fallen in love with the woman who owned the farm and no longer wanted to leave her behind. Left with no choice, number 5 reluctantly agreed to take her along as well. But at that exact moment, the farm owner's husband angrily called the police and the road ahead was suddenly blocked off. Number 7 was just about to unleash her powers in rage, but then she noticed the terrified expression on her lover's face. In that very moment, she stopped herself and surrendered peacefully to the police without fighting back. On the other side, number 3's situation became even more dangerous. Assassins from the Temps Commission tracked her down and launched an attack. One assassin struck directly at her throat in order to silence her powers, leaving her unable to speak properly. Both she and her husband were brutally beaten during the assault. After some time, number 3 somehow regained enough strength to use her powers again and whispered a command softly. Under her control, one assassin strangled his own brother to death, causing the second assassin to flee in fear immediately afterward. At the same time, number 5 and number 1 were waiting at the agreed meeting spot, but only number 4 and the spirit of Ben Hargreaves arrived there. None of the other siblings showed up. As time continued running out, number 5 finally exploded in frustration. He felt that their final chance to save the world had already been destroyed. Meanwhile, number 7 was strapped onto an electric torture chair and being brutally interrogated. Drugs were injected into her body to create terrifying hallucinations inside her mind. She began seeing visions of her old family again, where Reginald Hargreaves mocked her and questioned her true identity. Slowly, number 7's suppressed memories started returning to her once again. She finally remembered her real life and her true powers as well. In that very moment, her abilities spiraled completely out of control, and the bodies of everyone around her suddenly dried out and disintegrated. That was when she realized the truth. She had been captured because people believed she was a Soviet spy, and the brutal torture itself had awakened her powers once again. Inside the Temps Commission, number 2 discovers a machine capable of showing glimpses of the future. Panicking, he immediately uses it to investigate the exact day of the president's assassination, but there he learns a shocking truth. The real danger was never a sniper at all. The true disaster was actually a massive explosion that occurred inside the FBI building, located directly along the president's route, and the most terrifying part was that number 7 was being held inside that same building. She had been falsely accused of being a Soviet spy. Because of the torture and overwhelming fear, her powers spiraled completely out of control, causing the gigantic explosion. That very blast later became the spark that started the war between America and the Soviet Union, ultimately laying the foundation for the destruction of the entire world. After learning all of this, number 2 realizes that the real mission is stopping number 7 from losing control once again. He secretly escapes from the Temps Commission and goes searching for number 3 and number 4 so they can save her together. But the dangerous energy surrounding number 7 becomes so powerful that nobody can even get close to her anymore. In that situation, only the spirit of Ben Hargreaves is able to reach her. Number 6 enters directly into her consciousness and tries calming her down from within. Crying desperately, number 7 says that she is a monster and that everything was destroyed because of her. But number 6 gently explains that she is not a monster. She is simply his little sister, and the entire family is still trying to save her. Slowly, number 7 begins calming down and regains control over her emotions, preventing another catastrophic explosion from happening. At the same time, on the other side, number 5's entire plan suddenly fails because the time travel briefcase completely stops working. But then number 5 suddenly remembers something important from the past. He realizes that he himself had once been assigned in this same timeline to assassinate the president. At that moment, he understands that if he can meet his younger version, there may still be a way way to fix everything. So together with number 1, he finally tracks down his past self. Number 5 tricks his younger version into believing that if he jumps at the correct moment, he can leave the Temps Commission forever and finally become free. But in reality, the entire thing is only a setup. The moment arrives, and number 1 suddenly shoves the younger number 5 violently into the time portal. But then a huge mistake happens, and the briefcase gets destroyed during the process. Everyone believes that the danger is finally over and that the president is now safe. But suddenly, number 2 notices a familiar figure standing in the field, the shadow of Reginald Hargreaves. He immediately runs toward it and grabs hold of the figure, only to discover that it is merely a robot. And at that exact moment, the real shot is fired. The president gets hit by the bullet. Even after everything they tried, history refuses to change, and the world continues moving toward the same destruction once again. In the end, it is revealed that this entire chain of events had already been secretly planned by someone else, a hidden mastermind controlling everything from behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Reginald Hargreaves finally reaches the mysterious Council of 12, a secret organization that had been secretly controlling major world events for many years. Reginald accuses them of breaking their own rules and destroying the balance of power across the world. But instead of backing down, the council blackmails him directly. They threaten that if he refuses to obey them, they will expose his darkest secrets to the entire world. Hearing this fills Reginald with uncontrollable rage, and without wasting another second, he brutally wipes out the entire council himself. On that same day, when the president was assassinated, all 7 siblings were present at the location. Their every movement appeared suspicious, and now they were no longer just suspects. They had become the most wanted criminals in the entire country. Meanwhile, number 7 suddenly receives a phone call. It is from the woman who owned the farm, and she sounds completely terrified as she explains that her son, Harlan Cooper, has gone totally out of control. Earlier, Harlan had fallen into the water, and number 7 had saved his life using her powers. But during that moment, a part of her energy remained inside him. Now that same energy was controlling him completely. Number 7 initially tries going there alone, but in the end, all of her siblings decide to go with her. The moment they arrive at the farm, they discover Harlan trapped inside a dangerous energy field. Number 7 slowly attempts calming him down, but just then, another massive threat arrives. The handler and Lila Pitts suddenly appear there. Instantly, a brutal battle erupts from both sides. Number 5 and number 2 try desperately to hold the enemies back, but suddenly an entire army attacks them at once. Number 7 releases a massive sound wave using her powers, knocking down countless enemies immediately. But Lila copies the exact same ability and launches the attack back at them, sending all the siblings crashing to the ground violently. During the battle, the truth is finally revealed that Lila was actually the same girl whose parents were killed because of number 5's mission long ago. She had come seeking revenge against him, but in the end, number 5 finally tells her the truth. The real person responsible for her parents' deaths was actually the handler, not him. Hearing this finally destroys Lila's hatred, but suddenly, the handler shoots her as well and leaves her for dead. During the chaos, number 5 manages to jump 1 second backward in time and saves himself at the last possible moment. In the end, the handler is finally killed, while Lila escapes using the time travel briefcase. Meanwhile, number 7 absorbs all of Harlan's unstable energy back into herself and finally calms him down completely, turning him back into a normal child once again. At last, all the siblings successfully return to their original timeline and believe that they have finally stopped the apocalypse forever. But then, Reginald Hargreaves suddenly appears before them once again and reveals the shocking truth. This is not actually their original world at all. This is the Sparrow Academy. So, what did you think about this series? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories. See you in the next video.